we're going to go into original sound. Let me just see something. It's not streaming to Facebook for some reason or other. That's weird, yeah. It's not streaming to Facebook. Give it a second. YouTube. See if it's streaming to YouTube. Yeah, it's streaming to YouTube. But it's not streaming to Facebook. That's strange. I'll try that again. Nope. Okay, so we're going to have to do Facebook by the phone. Again. Okay. Whoops. All right. Actually, one thing, a second. So notification out. All right, here we are. Hold on one second. It's going to be tricky. That's good. Okay, good to see everybody. We are online and okay, we're all set. Okay, what should we chant today? Let's see, yesterday, Jiv Jago. Today, we should do what? Oh, here's a good one. Oh, hey, Vaishnava Thakura. Okay, let's get the guitar. Oh hey Vaishnava Thakur, Water Sagar, hey Dase Karuna Kore, Diya Pada Jaya, Shoda Hey Amaya, Tomara Charana Dami, Jaya Begatami, Shoyalusa Shori, Jaya Gunada Shete Hoda She, Jaya Satsanga, Eyo Eya Mare, Boshe Sangero Se, Ekake Amara, Oi Bolo, Adinam Say Kirtane, Dumi Pakore, Shada Bindu Diya, Deha Krishna Namadane, Krishna say Tomara, Krishna Dite Para, Tomara Shakati Ajay, Amito Kangala, Krishna Krishna Mohi, Dai Navapache Ajay, Oh hey Vaishnava Thakur, Yarasana, Edase Karuna Gauri, Diya Pada Jaya, Shoda Hey Abaya, Tomara Charana Dauri, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Thakur, Haribo, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahansa Parvatacharya, also Sadashi Shimad, His Divine Grace, Abhaya Chalana, Bhaktivedanta, Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantagoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Mathuram Ki Jai, Jagannatha Swami Ki Jai, Yamunamai Ki Jai, Shrimati Lasadevi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Go. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutle Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pacharine Nivashesha Shunyabadi Pasyacha Deja Tarane. So we're going to continue with our readings. Om Gana Timidanda Shah Gananjana Shalakaya Jakshuram Nidham Yena Tasmai Shigarve Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master's divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorancia. So we're going to continue with our study of the Sri Caitanya Caritamrta. We are at the point where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya the ontological position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who he is as Krishna, but what his qualities are, etc. And this was after Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya tried to convince Chaitanya Mahaprabhu of the Mayavadi interpretation of the Vedanta Sutra. And again, what the Vedanta Sutra is, it is a summary or an explanation or commentary on the Upanishads. And the Srimad Bhagavatam is a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. And the Vedanta Sutra is written in sutras, which are very short, pithy statements that actually one needs to be trained up in philosophy to understand, like Tato Brahma Jigyasa. Now is the time to look for the absolute truth. Where are you going to look? You better know. And then also Janmadyasya Yataha, that the absolute truth is that from which everything, or whom everything comes. So let us go to the Sri Caitanya Caritamrta. This is a very philosophical portion. I mean, it's a pastime, but it's not like the other pastimes in the Caitanya Caritamrta. It's very philosophical to help us understand who God is, what his qualities are, and how the most important aspect of the Supreme Absolute Truth is personal. It's really interesting. Most people don't understand that, and they think that whatever path you follow, you end up in the same place, which is a big, big boo-boo. Boo-boo means mistake, in case you don't know what boo-boo means. Anyway, so let's go to the Caitanya Caritamrta. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Okay, now we're going to hear about the three potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, there's many different categorizations of the potencies. Like yesterday, we were talking about Vishnu Shakti Para Prokta Kshetragya Tata Para Avidika Kama Sankhya Chatira Shakti Ishate. That is the marginal potency, the spiritual potency, and the Jiva soul, which is the Tatashta Shakti. But today we're going to hear three potencies, basically manifestations of the spiritual potency. Let's go. Ladini Sandini Sambit Twayeka Sarva Sangshraye Ladatapa Kari Mishra Twaino Guna Varajite. Okay. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is what? Satchidananda Vigraha. That means eternal, full of knowledge, and full of bliss. And that's from the Brahma Samhita, in the first text of the 5th chapter. This means that he originally has three potencies: the pleasure potency, the potency of eternality, and the potency of knowledge. That's called the Sambit, Ladini, and Sandini. Okay. Sambit means the cognitive potency. Oh my God. That's knowledge. Sandini means the existential potency, or eternality as they're even described here. And Ladini means the pleasure potency. Together these are called the Chit potencies of the spiritual. There are three aspects of the spiritual potencies of the Lord, and they are present and full in the Supreme Lord. For the living entities who are part and parcel of the Lord, the pleasure potency in the material world is sometimes displeasing and sometimes mixed. This is not the case with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he is not under the influence of the material energy or its modes. Let me explain what that means. So the pleasure potency, called the Ladini Shakti of the Lord. Shakti means energy, Ladini means pleasure. In the spiritual world, it's only pleasure, Kevalananda Kanda. But when it's filtered through this material energy, it is Sitoshna Sukha Dukkata. What does that mean? Happiness and distress. Oh my God. Phew. Happiness and distress. It's like alternating, because you can't have happiness without distress, and you can't have distress without happiness. So that's the duality of the material world. And let me give you a story that illustrates that. Once upon a time, there was a king. Okay. And his name was Chitraketu. And he couldn't have a son. He was really disappointed. So he kept marrying one wife after another, after another, after another. Quite a few. Bhagavatam says 10 million. Ooh, it's quite a few. I think it's more than anybody could handle. So anyway, so he had a lot. Sometimes that's understood as hyperbole. So he had a lot of wives. Nobody could have a son until he was blessed to have a son by the name of Harsha Shoka, which means happiness, distress. Now, generally, every particular child gives you happiness and also gives you distress, right? We understand that. So he was blessed to have the son, but really by karma and the Lord's will, he wasn't meant to have a son. So what happened is that after his son was born, the other wives, that means the wives that weren't the mothers or the mother of the child, because most of the wives, he had many wives, most of the wives, in fact, every single one of the wives except for one, was not the mother. So anyway, were not the mothers, or what was not the mother, whatever. So anyway, so they planned and plotted and poisoned the little kid. And so the little kid gave the father happiness when he was born and a lot of distress when he died. Of course, there's a happy ending to the story, because Narada Muni came, woke the kid from his, not slumber, woke the kid from death. And the kid came back and said, "Which father are you?" And then he died again. There's a little philosophy there. So that's the material world. Happiness, and whatever you try to do, even your romantic exchanges, there's some happiness and there's some distress. And actually the Bhagavad Gita states that happiness in the mood of passion is like nectar in the beginning, and then like veneno, that's Spanish for poison at the end. Anyway, it's like that. You get something, oh, and it becomes a burden. Oh my God. Anyway, so Satchidananda Mahi Ishvara Sarupa Tina Amshe Chitshakti Haya Tina Rupa. The Supreme Personality of God in His original form is full of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. The spiritual potency in these three portions, Satchidananda, assumes three different forms. That's the nature of the spiritual potency. You exist forever. Of course, the soul always exists forever. But when you're Krishna conscious, you realize your eternal existence, and you have full knowledge. You know Krishna. It's not that you know everything in an actual sense, but because you know Krishna, you know everything. That may appear to be a contradiction. Yasmin vigate saram evam vigatam bhavati. One who knows Krishna knows everything because one knows the purpose of everything and how to use everything. It's not that you have to know how to fix a car. According to the verdict of all Vedic literature, the Supreme Personality of God, the living entity, and the illusory energy of this material world constitute the subject matter of knowledge. Everyone should try to understand the relationship between them. That's called Sambandha Gyan. You understand? Gyan means knowledge, Sambandha means the relationship. What's the relationship between time, karma, the material energy, the living entity, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So what is their relationship? These are all tattvas, and what's the relationship between the tattvas? And Sambandha Gyan means to understand the relationship. And Abhideya means to act in terms of your understanding, the proper understanding. And Prayojana means to achieve spiritual perfection. First of all, one should try to understand the nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. From the Shastras, we can understand that the nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the sum total of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. That is the personification of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. Now, if you try to understand that, that's very hard to understand. What does it mean to be the sum total of eternity, bliss, and knowledge? It means everything comes from Him. Om Purnamada Purnamidam. He's the complete whole, and so many complete units emanate from Him, and they're also complete unto themselves. And if you don't understand that, you're Jiva soul. As stated in the verse 154, Vishnu Shakti Para Prokta, that's Caitanya Madhya Lila 6:154. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the reservoir of all potencies, and His potencies are all spiritual. So we actually quoted that verse yesterday, Vishnu Shakti Para Prokta, Shedragyakatata Para, Avidikama Sangaya Tritira Shakti Ishate. The three potencies of the Lord are this Para Prakriti, the transcendental energy, which is Satchidananda, the material energy, which is Asat, Achit, and Nirananda. That's the opposite of Satchidananda. In other words, temporary, ignorant, and misery. In fact, there are three aspects to the material miseries. And those three aspects are called, it's interesting, you got three of a lot of different things, are called Adhyatmic, Adhibodic, and Adhidaivik. Miseries from your own body and mind. Oh, I got a headache. Oh, I got a stomach ache. Oh, I'm hungry. Oh, I have a toothache. Oh, I have to go to the orthodontist to get my teeth fixed. Ooh. And miseries from other living entities. Oh, that President of the United States, he's driving me crazy. Or, this bug on my body. Ugh. It's like one night, I think it was last night, I had a bug on my leg. And miseries of the material energy in general. It's too hot, too muggy. Muggy means too humid. So these are the three aspects of misery. You got three aspects of misery, three energies of the Supreme Personality of God, and three aspects of the Paraprakriti. That means the spiritual energy of the Lord, which are those three aspects are eternity, bliss, and knowledge. And you also have three modes of nature, right? Goodness, passion, and ignorance. You have three modes of nature. And also you have three Purusha avatars. You have Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. And you have three Guna avatars. What are the three Guna avatars? Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And what else do you have three of? Anyway, whatever you have three of. There's a lot of different threes. And sometimes the Lord is called the Lord of Threes. Yeah, three, and actually there's four types of disciples. There's first class, second class, third class, and 10th class. First class does what you want without them asking. Second class does what you want when you ask them. Third class does what you want when you ask them, but does it in a grudging mood. And 10th class doesn't do it. So 10th class, well, Dasama class. So Andam She Ladini, Sarang She Sandani, Chirang She Samvit, Yari Kyana Karimani. The three portions of the spiritual potency, this is the same thing we just went over, called Ladini, the bliss portion, that's Ananda. Sandani, the eternity portion, that's Sat. And Samvit, the knowledge portion, that's Chit. We accept knowledge of these as full knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. To acquire knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one must take shelter of the Samvit potency of the Lord, Supreme Lord. Samvit means the knowledge potency of the Lord. In other words, the Samvit potency is manifest through the Vedic literatures and through the words of Krishna's devotees. Pure devotees. And now here we're going to hear about the material world. Anturanga Chit Shakti Tatashta Jiva Shakti Bahiranga Maya Tine Kari Prema Bhakti. The spiritual potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead also appears in three phases: internal, marginal, and external. These are all engaged in his devotional service and love. The spiritual potency of the Lord is manifest in three phases: the internal and spiritual potency. In other words, ultimately everything's the spiritual potency, but it expands, just like Krishna expands as Lord Shiva. The internal spiritual potency, the marginal potency, that's us, jivas, which consists of the living entities. We are living entities, at least when I last checked. And the external potency, known as Maya Shakti. It means the illusory potency or the merciful potency. We must understand that in each of these three phases, the original spiritual potencies of pleasure, eternity, and knowledge remain intact. They're intact, but they are perverted. When the potencies of spiritual pleasure and knowledge are both bestowed upon the conditioned souls, the conditioned souls can escape the clutches of the external potency, Maya, which acts as a cover, obscuring one's spiritual identity. Wow, that is really a potent statement. So this illusory energy, external energy, potency, Maya, obscures our original spiritual identity, which is there. The spiritual identity is there. You just have to become freed from what? Amnesia. When free, the living entity awakens to Krishna consciousness and engages in devotional service with love and affection. Just like when we wake up in the morning, when we first wake up, we are in ignorance. And then we are just like, I don't feel like getting up. And then somehow or other we get up and we take a shower, hopefully cold shower, and it just goes, Hare Krishna, wakes us up, and then we remember, I'm supposed to go to Mangalarti. Sadvada Ishvarya Prabhura Chit Shakti Vilasa Hena Shakti Nahimana Parama Sahasa. In a spiritual potency, the Supreme Lord enjoys 6 kinds of opulences. You do not accept this spiritual potency, and this is due to your great impudence. So we describe what the 6 opulences were before, like wealth, opulence, strength, renunciation, knowledge, fame, and beauty to the unlimited degree. So in other words, Krishna is unlimitedly beautiful, unlimitedly wealthy, unlimitedly famous, unlimitedly renowned, unlimitedly strong, unlimitedly knowledgeable. All these potencies are on the transcendental platform. To understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as impersonal and devoid of potency is to go completely against Vedic information. Maya Disha, this is really essential stuff. God is a person. Remember that. God is a person. He has an impersonal aspect, but the most important thing is his personal aspect. Maya Disha, Maya Vasha, Ishvare Jiva Beta, Ena Jiva Ishvaratsaha, Kata Beta. The Lord is the master of the potencies, and the living entity is the servant of them. That is the difference between the Lord and the living entity. However, you declare that the Lord and the living entities are one and the same, which is a bunch of hogwash. How can the Lord and the living entities be one and the same? The same nature. It's like saying, myself and Bill Gates are one and the same. Yes, we have the same nature. We're jiva souls. We have material bodies made of the same substances, but, he's rich and I'm poor. A hell of a difference. Isn't it? In one sense, we're the same. In another sense, we're different. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is by nature the master of all potencies. By nature, the living entities being infinitesimal. What does infinitesimal mean? So tiny you can't see them. Are always under the influence of the Lord, have no material qualities, are always under the influence of the Lord's potencies. Now what does that mean? That we're in the spiritual realm, we're under the influence of what? Sat, Chit, and Ananda. That's great. I want to be under the influence of Sat, Chit, and Ananda. And if we're in the material world, we're under the influence of Asat, Achit, and Nirananda, misery, temporary, and ignorance. And that means the 3 modes of nature, they're always controlling us, like a marionetteer or a puppeteer controls the puppets. It's like I was talking to someone today, and they were telling me that they need a lot of variety in everything they eat. Every day has to be different. Or not every day, but they need some variety or else they'll stop eating. And the reason for that is because the modes. Sometimes I want spicy foods. Sometimes I want fatty foods. Sometimes I want hot foods. Chili peppers. Sometimes I want sweets. We see the living entities are controlled like that. Like sometimes we find people sneaking into the deity's kitchen in the middle of the night and taking the deity's sweets. Because the tongue is so voracious. It's like a tiger. Dharmadeti Jwayati, Lobo Moi Sudurmati, Dekajata Katina Samsare. So this next verse is very beautiful. Look, Mundaka Upanishad 3:1-1 to 2. Dvasuparna Sayuja Sakaya samanam vriksham parisashvate shashvate jate. Sorry. Tayoranya pipalam sadvatke anasnananyo vijakashiti samani vrikshe purusho nimagno nishya shochati muyamanaha jushtam yada paschatyanyam isham Hashamahimanam eti vitashokaha. The Mundaka Upanishad completely distinguishes the Lord from the living entities. The living entity is subjected to the reaction of the fruit of activity. Fruit of activity means karma, baby. Whereas the Lord simply witnesses such activity and bestows the results. According to the living entity's desires, he is wandering from one body to another, from one planet to another, under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Paramatma, into planetary travel. However, when the living entity comes to his senses by the mercy of the Lord, he is awarded devotional service. In other words, he's wandering, Brahmanda Brahmate Konma Vagyuan Jiv Guru Krishna Prasadi Vai Bhakti Lata Beach. He's wandering, and by the mercy of Krishna, he comes in touch with the spiritual master who gives him the seed of the creeper of devotion. Thus he is saved from the clutches of Maya. Maya. At such a time he can see his eternal friend, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and become free from all lamentation and hankering. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita in the 18th chapter, text 54, where the Lord says, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. In other words, one doesn't hanker or lament when one is situated in the spiritual platform. One who is thus transcendently situated once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything material. Thus, it is definitely proved that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the master of all potencies, and the living entities are always subjected to these potencies. That is the difference between Mayadisha and Mayavasha. Gita Shastre Jivarupa Shakti Karimane Hena Jive Bedakara Ishwarera Sane. In the Bhagavad Gita, the living entity is established as the marginal potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, yet you say that the living entity is completely different from the Lord. So he's starting to get into a Chincha Beta Beta Tattva. He's the marginal energy, and here Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is not being consistent. Sometimes he says the same, sometimes different, but he doesn't understand there's one and different simultaneously and conceivably. The Brahma Sutra states that according to the principles of Shakti, Shakti Mator Abhedaha, that means the living entity and let's say this, Shakti means the potency and the source of the potency are non-different. So the living entity is simultaneously one with and different from the Supreme Personality of God. And qualitatively, the living entity and the Supreme Lord are one. In other words, we have the same quality, but in quantity they are different. Typical example Prabhupada gives: a drop of water in a big reservoir of water has the same constitution as the whole reservoir, but it's just a small sample of the reservoir, and that way you can tell. Just like if you were cooking rice and you want to see if the rice is done, you don't have to take all the rice out of the pot and squeeze it. You just take one piece of rice because all the rice in the pot has the same quality. But one piece of rice is different in quantity. That's easy to understand, but in quantity they are different. According to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy of Achincha Beda Tattva, living entity and the Supreme Lord are accepted as one and different at the same time, which is called simultaneously or simultaneousamente, if you speak Spanish. So here are the eightfold material elements. Bhumir apo nalobhayu kamano buddhi revacha ankariti ame bina prakriti rastada. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego are my eightfold separated energies. That's all we see. That is solid, liquid, let's say fire, or like an energy type of thing. The air, ether means space. like the space between these two hands. There's ether because it's definitely space. There's also air. There's no fire, or else my brain would be burnt. And intelligence. I know some people who don't have that element built in. I know, that's just a joke. No intelligence. And false ego means I and mine, the conception. It's a very subtle thing, the conception of I and mine. My computer, my children, my wife, my temple. And actually a devotee, a pure devotee thinks Krishna is mine. Krishna say Tamar, Krishna dite par. Krishna is yours, dear pure devotee. So, next verse. These are from Bhagavad Gita verses, of course. Aparayamita swanyam prakratim vidime param jiva bhutam mahabhoho yedam daryate jagat. Besides these inferior energies, that's earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, that's what you're dealing with right now, which are material. There's another energy, joy, a spiritual energy, and this is the living being, Almighty Arm One. This material world is sustained by the living entities. Because there weren't any living entities, it would just be dull matter. And of course, these are quotations from the Bhagavad Gita in the 7th chapter, which is a very important chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, verses 4 and 5. And Ishwarera Shivigraha Sachidananda Kara Sevigrahekaha Sattvagunera Vikara. The transcendental form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is complete eternity, cognizance, and bliss. That's the same thing, Sachidananda. However, you describe this transcendental form as a product of material goodness. And the material the world used here is Vikara, transformation, Sattva Gunera Vikara. That's the problem with one of the aspects of the Mayavada philosophy. They say the supreme absolute truth becomes transformed. That is stupid. Because the supreme absolute truth is never transformed. Om Purnam Ada Purnamidam. That's the Upanishad. He's perfectly complete, remains the perfectly complete, and he's not transformed. Just like a lady can have a child and she doesn't become less because she has the child. You understand? The child is perfect in and of himself. Well, not too perfect. Maya. So however you describe the transcendental form as a product of material goodness. So that's the nonsense of the Mayavada philosophy. They talk about vikara, the transformation. Now the material energy becomes transformed. Yes, that is true. We do not doubt that. But the Lord does not become transformed. The Supreme Absolute Truth, Brahman, does not become transformed. Shri Vigraha Yena Mane Setapa Shandi Adrisha Prishcha Sehaya Yamadandi. One who does not accept accept the transcendental form of the Lord is certainly an agnostic. Well, that's being kind. Agnostic means he can still be convinced. Such a person should be neither seen nor touched. Yuck. Indeed, he is subject to be punished by Yamaraj. If you don't know who Yamaraj is, you just don't remember. Think about it. Think about what happened before you were born. You saw Yamaraj. And what was he doing? He was punishing you for all your bad deeds. And if you happen to be hurting the devotees, you'd be put through a sugarcane press. If you happen to be too romantic, then you would have to embrace a beloved lover, be a red-hot lover, red-hot literally, not figuratively, and get burnt. Anyway, that's Yamaraj. He takes care of everything. He has a book. He has this nice scribe called Chitragupta. He writes down everything you do. Everywhere you go, the eyes of Yamaraj are upon you. Yeah, true. You cannot escape. There's no secrecy. This is real conspiracy theory. According to the Vedic construction, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has the eternal transcendental form, which is always blissful and full of knowledge. Impersonalists think that material refers to the forms within our experience, and the spiritual refers to an absence of form, because they've had no experience of form. However, one should know that beyond this material nature is another nature which is spiritual, because there wouldn't be material forms unless there was a prototype for those material forms. Even Plato understood this. Plato said there must be a world of forms, of which this world is a replica, because there's no perfection in this world. Of course, his concept was rather mathematical. He said there must be in a world of forms a perfect triangle. In this world, you don't find a perfect triangle. Just as there are material forms in this material world, there are spiritual forms in the spiritual world. This is confirmed. Why not? This is confirmed by all Vedic literature, but the spiritual forms are full of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. The spiritual forms in the transcendental world have nothing to do with a negative conception of formlessness. In other words, the opposite of the material world is not the opposite of form, it's the opposite of temporariness, it's the opposite of ignorance, and it's the opposite of suffering. The conclusion is that a person is an agnostic when he does not agree to worship the transcendental form of the Lord. He may be also an atheist. Agnostic has some hope. Actually, at the present moment, all systems of religion deny the worship of the form of the Lord due to the ignorance of this transcendental form. The first-class materialists, the Mayavadis, probably calls them materialists, imagine 5 specific forms of the Lord, but when they try to equate the worship of such imaginary forms with bhakti, they are immediately condemned. Lord Sri Krishna confirms this in the Bhagavad Gita in the 7th chapter, text 15, where he says, Namam duskritino mudha prapajante naradama, lowest of mankind. They're duskritino, bad activity, bad activities, or bad persons, or bad actions of bad persons, and they're mudas, they're a bunch of asses. Even Krishna used the word asses. And lowest of mankind. And namam duskritina muda prapajante naradama maya parityagyanasam bhavamashrita. He gives 4 types of asses. Namam duskritina muda, the foolish people who are directly asses. Then the lowest of mankind, just like Tarzan type of people. Maya Pratyajna, those who are just into philosophy so much that they actually forget reality. Maya Pratyajna, their knowledge is stolen by illusion. And then Asuram Bhavamashrita, that means demons, bereft of the real knowledge due to agnosticism. The Mayavad philosophers should not even be seen by the devotees of the Lord, no touch, because those philosophers are liable to be punished by Yamaraj, the superintendent, demigod who judges. He comes the judge, who judges the activities of sinful men. The Mayavadi agnostics wander within this universe in different species of life due to their non-devotional activities. Such living entities are subjected to the punishments of Yamaraj. It means the king of restrictions, basically. And if you don't follow the restrictions, here comes the king. Only the devotees who are always engaged in the service of the Lord are exempt from the jurisdiction of Yamaraj, because Krishna says what? Aham tam sarvapapebhyo moksha yashyami masuchaha. I will free you from these things. Because even if you're a vegetarian, there's karma there. You have to see Yamaraj even if you're a vegetarian. Oh my God, so what am I supposed to eat? That's a problem. Don't eat anything. Even if you breathe, you're killing living entities. Just like the Jains, they wear masks. They don't breathe in any living entity, but it's not possible. You're still breathing in living entities. The poor coronavirus that gets breathed in. I feel sorry for the virus. So, therefore, the only solution is what? Yat korosi yarasnasi yas yahoshita das yat yatapasasi konti yatat koraswa madarpanam. To offer everything to Krishna. Whatever you do, whatever you offer, whatever you give away should be offered to Krishna. And then Krishna says, what? Tvam sarva papebhyo mokshi yashami masucha. What does he say? He says, because you're doing it for me. Sarva papebhyo. All these different sins, even the sin of eating an innocent broccoli, the poor broccoli. I feel sorry for the broccoli. It suffered. Even the sin of, it's true, plants have feelings too. Trees have feelings. Cut down a tree to make a house. You're doing something by it, unless you're using it for Krishna. So, ham tvam sarva papebhyo, that I will free you from all those different sins, papa. Mokshi yashami masuchaha. You'll be freed from them. Masuchaha. Don't worry. Don't worry. Be happy. Just serve me, and I'll take care of the rest. And the example Prabhupada gives sometimes is that sometimes a soldier has to fight on behalf of the government, and the soldier may have to kill on behalf of the government in a just war, and the soldier doesn't have to go to jail because he's doing it for the government. But if the soldier after the war goes and kills someone, to jail with you. So remember that one. So we do everything for Krishna. We're protected. We're doing it under his order. Wow, that's pretty nice. No more sins. But don't sin. Because if you sin, it's actually not under his order. Okay, now we're going to stop sharing. And we are going to take questions. Hold on a second. I have to unmute everybody. Okay, you are all unmuted. So who has a question now? If there's no questions, we just end.
I have a question, Gurudev.
Okay. So Mukul.
My question is, you have just explained in the purport regarding Yamaraj. You said that he's writing every sin we do. So my question is, we know that, I know that the Paramatma lives in everyone's heart. So
Yeah.
you are saying that there in this earth there are 7 billion people living, and Yamaraj is noting everyone's, and he has to witness. I don't understand how is this possible.
Paramatma tells him. Paramatma tells him. It's just like if I put a camera in your house and I'm watching you,
Mm-hmm.
I'm aware of everything going in your house, but I'm not in your house. You understand?
Yes.
So in the same way, Paramatma is Yamaraja's camera, so to speak. He tells him, he says, Sumukha now is late for greeting the deities this morning. Sumukha has not listened to Radhika Prem this morning.
True, true.
All right? So he
Yes.
tells it. Yeah, so, of course, the guru is also informed, not of everything the disciple does, because that would be extraordinarily boring. But whenever the guru needs to know something, the guru is given that explanation. So in the same way, Yamaraj gets told what's important. But he has a big brain. And he has this scribe, the person who takes care of the computer work is named Chitragupta. Gupta means hidden. Yeah, that's interesting. So he's there, writing down. Well, I think he has a good brain. So he's writing down everything that Sumukha does. And then at the end of your life, you get to see your movie. This is my life.
Yes.
All right. So
One
here's
more.
the question.
Yeah. One
What?
more
What's
question.
another question? Okay.
No, you can continue, Gurudev. I have
Oh,
another
there's
question.
another question. The Buddhist believes in voidism and not accepting the Vedic Shastras, well, let's differentiate. We had a discussion on this the other day. Buddha is different than Buddhism. What Buddha taught is not Buddhism. Anyway, many Buddhists, because there's many types of Buddhists, there's Buddhism, but Buddha actually took people away from the Vedic Shastras. And the Mayavadi accepts Vedic literature but takes to impersonalism, understanding which one is easier to preach Vaishnavism. Oh, that's a good question. Is it easier to preach Vaishnavism to a Buddhist or to a Mayavadi? Usually a Buddhist. I would say it's easier to preach to a Buddhist, because a Buddhist, really a Buddhist doesn't really know what Buddha said. Because most Buddhists, just like most Hindus, don't know what the Vedic literatures say. They're just Hindus. Like I was just talking to someone today who was a Hindu, and he was telling me, or he or she, I just got to cover up who it was. They were telling me that they believe in karma yoga, and even spelled karma yoga wrong. They spelled it Krama, Krama yoga. I mean, who's ever heard of Krama yoga? So anyway, so they said they believe in karma yoga, but they don't understand what karma yoga is. So in the same way, all the Buddhists that I've ever met, unless there may be some scholars, have basically no understanding or very little understanding what Buddha himself actually said, or what Buddhism is, or his original teachings. It's just like most Hindus have no idea what the Bhagavad Gita says, even though they've read the Bhagavad Gita, or some of them have, maybe most of them, maybe some of them, but they have no idea what the message of the Bhagavad Gita is. So people are in ignorance. Unless you actually come in contact with a pure devotee such as His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, you will have no idea of what the Vedic literatures of Bhagavad Gita say. For example, I read the Bhagavad Gita before I came to the Krishna Conscious Movement, English translation. I had no idea what it meant. But when I read Prabhupada's Gita, it was very easy to understand. So we need the pure devotee. And so, yes, Buddhists are very hard to preach to, and so are Mayavadis, but I prefer Buddhists to Mayavadis. Because Mayavadis have taken to the wrong interpretation of the Vedic literature, whereas Buddhists, at least Buddha rejected the Vedic literatures, but you can bring people back, I think, easier than you can with Mayavadis. Because like Prabhupada said, it's easier to teach someone who never learned to play the piano than to teach someone who taught himself or herself to play the piano. Prabhupada made that point. Okay, any other questions? Hey, I haven't seen you for a while, Praneshwara. Did you get COVID yet?
No, Gurudev.
No? You're safe. That's good.
Yes, Gurudev.
You look so happy, like you put on 30 kilos. Your cheeks are all like big. I mean, you look, as I say in India, you look healthy. So what's the question?
Like, Gurudev, hurts and soak, happiness and distress.
Yeah.
Is there, so how to be equal in both situations, in happiness and distress?
How can we be equal in both situations, happiness and distress? Just think of pleasing Krishna. If you're thinking of pleasing Krishna and Guru, then you'll be equal. But if you're just on the material platform and attached to the body and senses, there's no way of being equal. If you're just thinking, my whole goal of life is... And then, when there's a distressful thing that occurs, like Queen Kunti had so many distressful things, she was happy because it helped her remember Krishna. So distress for a devotee is actually a help in their devotional service. Like Queen Kunti asks for more and more distress. I don't. So that's how. If we see the goal of life, unfortunately, we are thinking something else is the goal of life. The goal of life is to become rich. The goal of life is to become famous. The goal of life is to be healthy. The goal of life is to own a new car. The goal of life is whatever. Then, but our goal of life should be to be Krishna conscious. And the point is, in being Krishna conscious, there's no impediment. Ahaitaki apretiyata yatma supersedati. There's nothing that can stop you. Not good fortune, bad fortune. And for a devotee simply wants the fortune of taking birth in a devotee family in his next life. Kita janmoha yatatu yadas. Brahma janme nahayash. Bahir mukha Brahma janme nahayash. So we simply want to associate with devotees and serve Krishna. And then everything else, happiness and distress, they're all stepping stones to help us advance in Krishna consciousness. All right? Don't worry. Be happy. Enjoy life. Enjoy life while you're young. You're young, you can enjoy this life. Oh my God. Okay, any other questions?
Yes, Gurudev, I have a question.
All right.
Since tomorrow is Ekadasi, and in one of the class, Gurudev, you mentioned that you take prasad on Ekadasi and you don't do Nirijal Ekadasi, because you said that Srila Prabhupada used to take Ekadasi prasad when he was on air.
Yes.
So you the reason you said that you do as you don't want to do more than Srila Prabhupada, you do within.
I don't want to be more. I don't want to puff myself up thinking I'm more austere than Prabhupada.
Okay. Okay, Gurudev. My question is now. Sometimes one day I start chanting. I said whole day I was chanting. I read 108 rounds. I chant. So
that's nice.
So is this?
No, that's different. That's not austerity. That's bliss. The whole point of Ekadasi is to increase your service to Krishna, increase your chanting, increase your hearing, increase your preaching. That's the only purpose of eating very little. The only purpose of eating very little. Try to understand this, Jai Radhika. I know your name is not Jai Radhika, but I think she's there. The only purpose, Jai Radhika, she's online. She knows what I'm talking about her. The only purpose of bodily austerities is to increase your hearing and chanting. But she's so proud that she does all these bodily austerities, and she tells me about them later on, so I can say you're a good girl. But anyway, oh my God, I'm probably embarrassing her. So the whole point, she's online. Let me see if her picture is there. Yeah, her picture's there. So anyway, the whole point of bodily austerities is to increase your service. Therefore, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur sometimes even gave his disciples grains on Ekadasi so they would go out and preach. We shouldn't do that. We don't have that discrimination. But if you're going to sit all day long and just like say, oh, I can't wait until the time's over that I can eat. Or we become proud. I mean, I have disciples who are very proud. Oh, I fasted for all of Ekadasi. Gurudev, look how wonderful I am. And so, it doesn't make a difference to Krishna. What will Krishna do with your fasting? If you fast and you can serve the same amount or more, great. If you can eat one pat of butter every day and go on serving Krishna, great. If you were able to maintain your health, great. But service is my priority. If I was to fast the whole day, because I wouldn't have the strength or the clarity of mind to do too much. And if I was driving a car, it would be quite dangerous. So what is it? What is the sense in it? I mean, people have this material conception of Krishna consciousness. It's simply a material conception. If you can reduce things and increase, that's wonderful. I think that that's simply wonderful. Yes, fasting is great if you can reduce it and increase. I praise you for that. But I cannot increase. Prabhupada did not observe like that. Prabhupada did what was necessary for preaching. We have so much service to do. I mean, every day our life is like an hourglass. And an hourglass, the sands are gradually going down, trickling down. And the top portion of the hourglass is becoming, let's say, emptier and emptier every day. Especially when you get older, you realize that. And every moment that's wasted in doing anything other than Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, the 9 processes of devotional service, every moment is just like you can't get it back. So the whole point is to maximize Shravan, the Navabhakti. Hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayer, whatever. Whatever the 9 processes you'd like to do. Going on the internet. Whatever the 9 processes you can maximize, do it. And if you could eat less, do it. If you could eat nothing, do it. I personally don't have any reserve. Some of you are like camels. You know what a camel is? A camel is an animal that can not drink for I don't know how many days, because it stores things in the humps on its back. So if you have a big hump called the stomach, which we call a spare tire, then at that point, yes, you can store things. I don't have much storage space. And I know many devotees with storage space. Yes, they should definitely fast on Ekadasi. It's a very good idea if they reduce their storage space. If your waist is any bigger than 32 inches around, you should fast on Ekadasi completely. As a man, for a man. I don't know what that is in centimeters, so don't even ask me. Some of you can figure that out. You can take a tape measure to determine. My waist right now is less than 32 inches. My pants, everything's falling off of me now, so I don't fast on Ekadasi. But if you anyway, whatever. If your name is Hasti, you know what Hasti means?
Elephant.
Is it the same word in Hindi or what?
No, I know it's Sanskrit, we didn't know.
Hati,
I know.
hati.
When in Hindi, what's the word for elephant in Hindi?
Hati.
Hati.
Hati. Same. So it's pretty similar. You just take off the S. If your name is Hati Prabhu. Yeah, chanting 64 rounds is great on Ekadasi. And just do what's better for keeping your body and soul together. Another thing is if I fast completely on Ekadashi, my blood pressure goes up, which is not good for me. So my doctor said, no fasting. I like my doctor. So anyways, so don't be a fanatic. Okay, on that happy note, it's not Ekadashi here tomorrow. Tomorrow we have our, it's actually Ekadashi, but we have the Mahadwadasi on Sunday. So it's a little bit different where we are. Okay, on that happy note, we'll see everybody tomorrow. All glory is to His divine grace. A.C.